Welcome to the Jungle Discipleship School podcast. My name is David Small, and I'm going to be your handsome host for the next little bit here on this beautiful evening from Burma. The chickens are calling out in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. But we're excited to be putting out a new podcast. It's been a long time coming. And if you have not listened to the New Year's Eve podcast, the last one, JDS by the Numbers, a New Year's podcast, I really would encourage you to not listen to this one right now. Listen to it another time. But listen to that one before you listen to this one. And it'll just give you some good context. And I just think it was a really great podcast, if I do say so myself. Humility is my strength, I guess. Go check out that podcast if you haven't listened to it. And I'm thankful you're with us. We have so much to be thankful for here at the Jungle Discipleship School. And we have lots to share this week, and I don't really know where to begin, but I guess I'm going to begin by just starting to explain or describe my surroundings. So JDS sits in a valley, and we've got some pretty nice mountains around us, steep mountains, which make it challenging for our solar system because the mountains block the morning and the evening sun. So we've decided to, well, first of all, a really amazing family sat down together on the Christmas break and decided they wanted to bless some different ministries, JDS being one of them. And they really did bless us a lot. And so I'm super thankful to them. But one of the things they were provided for us was solar upgrades. And they basically said, okay, if you had your wish of how the solar would be set up, how would it be? And I said, well, I'd have 3 separate systems. One system would run our camp, kind of, computers, printers, charging phones, the usual, turning on lights, that kind of stuff. And another system would be independent system, which would run our Starlink so that our Starlink doesn't drain the main system and the Starlink can stay on and have juice all the time. It's also a bit of a redundancy and a backup that, if one system fails, the Starlink really is our emergency contact method out here in the jungle. And so, if we're bombed or something, it's good to have a secondary system. And so I said, I'd love to have a system that doesn't do anything else other than run the Starlink. And finally, I'd like a third system specifically for the classroom. And we have some big plans for the classroom, and I'm going to share that on a later podcast. But I just said I'd love to have the classroom on its own power grid so that, if for some reason the main camp system is down, that we can still have class. We can still run the projector. We can still listen to, pause or music or whatever we're doing in the classroom, lights even that need the power. So I said, okay, that's my wish. And, it's going to cost a few $1,000s to make this happen. And this family said, okay, go do it. And they also said, go do it with some of our other requests. And so anyways, then Kajapo and Dewa, 2 of our junior staff, took the challenge to build us a grid on the side of the mountain so that it'll get more of the sun and the mountain will block it. So we're moving all of our solar system up the mountain and then running wires down into the camp. And so they've that means they had to build a small house, because then you need to have a place for the batteries and the inverter and the breaker boxes. And my dear friend ChatGPT said that it's better for to run a copper wire long distance than it is to run the DC solar wire long distance. So we've moved everything up the mountain. And so right now I'm recording this podcast from the new JDS recording studio, also known as the solar house on the top of the mountain. and I'm super thankful to be here. Okay, on to some other news. There's just lots to share. We've been back at JDS now for 2 weeks since, a week and a half since our second semester began. And today is Wednesday, the 15th of January. And so we're halfway through January. We're halfway through this week. This week we're talking about prayer. Zadok is teaching about prayer this week. And last week, Claire started us off in the second semester by going back to the gospel message and then linking to the cross. What does the cross mean? And grace. What does grace mean? And so that's kind of how we started off. And the students, I've had some feedback from the students I really liked that week. And now this week we're into prayer, part 1 of prayer. And next week, Zadok and Claire have to go out, but I'm going to take over the teaching for the next 2 weeks. And I'll be teaching on prayer, part 2. And some of the book resources that we'll be using, there's a book called Moving Mountains by my boy, John Eldridge. And there's another book called Dangerous Prayers by not my boy. I don't know who it's by. But anyways, 2 great books to check out on prayer. And it's just, it's super exciting because, God is, it's not charades. It's not a one-way conversation. We're not talking at God. We're talking with God. And it's when we can understand prayer and understand that, it's a exciting step in our faith. And there's been a lot going on. And so I want to just share some of the quick updates from you as we're 2 weeks in. And tonight is Wednesday night and Wednesday evening. And so in about an hour, we'll have dinner. And then after dinner, we are Wednesdays we've set aside for our AA group. And I mentioned this on a previous podcast. And we are going to be my plan was, okay, in the new year, we're going to start AA or a JDS version of AA. And some of our students have a drinking problem. And I never thought, okay, I'm going to open a discipleship school in the jungle. And I never thought that I would need to be running Alcoholics Anonymous or the Overcomers group. And basically what I did was I took all the materials I could get from Overcomers and I took all the materials I can get from AA and I edited it just slightly for context because some of the context, it doesn't make sense in a jungle setting. But I've edited a little bit for context and we've created our own JDS Overcomers group. And last week we met for the first time, our first week back from break. And I had told them, hey, if you have a drinking problem or you're struggling with alcohol, come to this meeting. Our challenge with this meeting, it was really beautiful. We went to my little house. I live in the office right now. And I have a little fireplace that Kachapo made me. And it's so cold right now. Oh my goodness. It's like 9 Celsius in the morning when I wake up. And, okay, for those of you living in Winnipeg, emo, Kenora, +9, you'd love it. You'd be shorts and t-shirt. But when you're not used to it, like we are here in the jungle, and you add 70% humidity, -9, it just is cold, man. And so anyways, I have a fire and Good Chapo makes me a fire every evening and every morning. He's the best. But anyways, so the Overcomers group, we came in and sat in a circle around the fire and we just read through. I started the meeting just so that they could kind of get the feel for what this was about. And I had maybe like 8 students there, some staff and some 8 students. And we just read through the meeting format presented by AA that I'd modified and the 12 steps and the meeting, traditions and our group traditions and some prayers. And we had a time for sharing and 2 people volunteered to share. And they shared in Burmese, and Jala, who I had kind of assigned to run this group, he started to translate for me into English. And I said, I don't think you need to translate this. I don't need to know all the details, but I think it's just important that they have a place to share where they're at with alcohol. And so tonight is meeting number 2. You could be praying for them, praying for that meeting, and just that this can be, or we can find a regular rhythm for this. And yeah, that we can, that it can really mean something. And I think the challenge we're going to face is that the guys want the meeting, the guys want overcomers, but they still want to have a beer or two. And they're not fully committed to the idea of sobriety. And yeah, I'm still trying to understand this. And so it's interesting because we at JDS we've modified our rules. And I, at the beginning of the year, I said, hey, I'm learning as you guys are. I don't know what I'm doing, but we're figuring all this out together. I don't like rules because once you set a rule, you now have to enforce the rule. And I don't want to become a policeman just going around like, hey, this is the rule, this is the rule. And when it comes to alcohol, and alcohol specifically, I was, first of all, shout out to my dear mother. I love a 4:00 glass of wine, cheese and crackers, but you can't really get cheese and crackers in the jungle. But I love to have just an afternoon drink, and I'll have 1 or maybe 1.5, 2 glasses of wine, and then I'm done, and that's it. And I don't need to have more. I don't want to have any more than that. And I enjoy this in my life occasionally. I enjoy a glass of wine. I lived in Italy for 2 years, and if you live in Italy and you don't like wine, then there's something mentally wrong with you. But yeah, I just thought about, okay, I don't want to say no alcohol. First of all, because I don't want to follow that rule. And second of all, because it doesn't actually train or teach the students reality. I want the students to come to a place where, hey, I struggle with this. I cannot just have 1 glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine and stop. I will have 1 or 2 glasses of wine and then finish the bottle and open the next bottle. And that's how most of our students are. And I want them to realize that. And so, because if we live in this bubble, over the mountain from us is an IDP camp, and there's 3,000 IDPs in this IDP camp, internally displaced person, for those of you that are scratching their heads right now saying, what's an IDP? And they all make homemade wine. They all make homemade whiskey. They all make sake, like a rice alcohol. And it's about let's say 20-minute, 30-minute walk over the mountain from our campus. So like the students do not, and you're paying $1.50 a bottle, a Pepsi bottle. And so our students do not need to walk very far to find alcohol. Everywhere you go in Karenni State, everywhere you go in Burma, everywhere you go in the world, you're going to run into alcohol. Hey, would you like a beer tonight? Do you want a glass of wine with dinner? Like, it's everywhere. And so we have to learn a rhythm of, we don't want to just bury our heads in the sand and live in this little bubble and then suddenly send the students out 10 months from now and say, hey, good luck with alcohol. Good luck with your life, because we haven't taught you these things. So from the beginning, I've said, hey, I want us to learn how we can have a rhythm and have a balance here. And it's led us to the point of starting AA. And yeah, I think, I mean, today is Wednesday, so a 5-bullet newsletter went out today. If you're not on our newsletter list, I would love for you to sign up and get the 5 bullets. It comes out every second Wednesday, or whenever I get around to it, which is usually every second or third or fourth Wednesday. But yeah, in the 5-bullet newsletter today, I said something along the lines of, we are maybe the only discipleship school in the entire world. Okay, I don't know about the whole world, but from what I do know, we may be the only discipleship in the whole world that runs an Alcoholics Anonymous program for the students that are getting discipleship in the program. And, this wasn't in my plans, but I love it. I mean, okay, I don't love it. When they get drunk, it makes me go crazy and I yell at them, and my inner hockey coach comes out. But I love that we're wrestling with the brokenness and that we're wrestling with our struggles in a safe place. And so we came up with JDS Rules 2.0. Maybe it's 3.0. I've kind of not really sure where we're at with our rules. But to start off the new year, to start off the new semester, the first class we went through Rules 2.0. And we talked about our alcohol rule. And the rule is we are not a dry campus. You can drink alcohol with permission. At no point you can get drunk. So drunkenness is not allowed. And then we looked at the scriptures, and there was, it's 81 times drunkenness is mentioned in the Bible. I didn't know that until I went to JDS Rules 2.0. But 81 times drunkenness is mentioned in the Bible, always in a negative connotation, always saying like, hey, don't get drunk. You should not drink too much wine. You're going to be an idiot if you're going to make dumb decisions if you drink too much wine. And so drunkenness at JDS is never allowed, but drinking is allowed with permission. And I just thought it's so beautiful. The last 10 days that we've been here on campus, I've had students come to me and say, let's take Sunday, for example. On Sunday, students came to me and said, hey, we want to go and we're going to buy a catfish from the village, and we're going to buy 2 bottles of Karenni wine. It's like really weak. It's like probably like 2 or 3% alcohol, but it is alcohol nonetheless. And it basically tastes like yeast, but they like it. And so they said, we're going to buy 2 bottles of Karenni wine, and we're going to go sit down by the river and grill up this fish and drink some wine. I said, okay, show me how big the bottles are. How many people are going? Okay, yeah, good. Go have fun. And so I'm all for them going to do that, because I love to go do that. I love to go. I hate fishing, but I love to sit in the boat and drink a beer on a beautiful day and chat with my friend while they fish. And so, Cam, I'm thinking of you. But anyways, I just want to encourage them, like, hey, okay, you don't need to hide it. I don't want it to be in the shadows. We can talk about this openly. Come and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And I've had other students that come and say, hey, I really just need a drink today. Okay, what for? What's going on? I just feel stressed out. I feel like I haven't had any alcohol in 4 or 5 days, and I'm a little shaky and blah, 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 blah. Okay, do you really need a drink? Or do you just need to talk to somebody, or what? Yeah, no, I'm okay. I just want to have one little glass of wine. Okay, do it. Or, okay, another student had the same situation, and they said, actually, I said, do you really need a drink? They said, no, actually, I don't. And they put the beer can down and picked up a Coca-Cola, and we're happy with that. And so, and in the first 15 days of this year and at JDS, we haven't had any drunkenness. And that's okay, maybe for you guys at home, you're like, okay, big deal. But for us at JDS, it's a miracle. And I'm really thrilled about it. I didn't mean to talk about alcohol for 18 minutes here, but yeah, so another thing that I don't want them to bury their head in the sand about is money. And I have no idea how this is going to go, but I just had this feeling, and in the fall semester, we've been so tight every month for money that it's been like the water line is at my lips, and I'm just trying to stay above water. And thanks to you guys out there who gave some money at the year end, it feels like the water is now at my chest, and I have a little bit of room to breathe right now. And so this is just something that's been on my heart, and I just thought, okay, let's just do it. And so before I crossed over and came back to JDS, I went to the bank and I got out a bunch of 20 baht bills. 20 baht is about $1. And if you're American, it's about 60 cents. If you're a Canadian, it's probably about $100 now because our loonie is terrible. But anyways, it's a roughly $1.75. And I thought, okay, I want them to learn how to manage money. And, I need to just shout out Dave Ramsey. Like, he changed my life with finances. And if you're not familiar with the Ramsey show, you need to just start listening to the podcast. Forget us. Go listen to the podcast because it'll change your life. And Dave Ramsey and the principles that he teaches changed my life. And I want the students to know how to manage money because that's something that they've never been taught here. And I have every single day, almost every single day, and this is not a joke or exaggeration, I have somebody who sends me a message saying, hey, I need money. Hey, I need help with this. Hey, can you support this? Or, hey, I already bought this and I owe somebody money for it because I can't afford it. And, I have to balance grace and fathering in a lot of these situations because they don't have an income. They can't work. Their country is shut down. They're either refugees or IDPs or soldiers, and they don't have an income. And so, they're doing their best, but they don't have any education about money. And so I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a ledger. Get your notebooks out. So I taught them how to make a ledger. Description, money in, money out, balance. And I said, every Monday, you are going to get 60 baht. So $2 or $3 pocket money. And every Monday, I'm going to look at your ledger. And if your ledger is clear, you've got it, you're filling things in, you're keeping track of your money, you'll get 60 baht more pocket money. And if it's not clear, if you're not doing it, if you're just not like keeping up with it, then you're not going to get your 60 baht. Or if you break our rules, JDS rules 2.0, you don't get your money. But I thought, okay, this is not going to work. I'm not going to be able to teach them about money if we're just using monopoly money, if we're just like pretending, or if it's just a theory. There needs to be some skin in the game. And so I thought, okay, if I have the ability to use some real money, $2 or $3 each student per week, let's do it. And so I gave them out the money and I explained, hey, every time you get money, some money you're going to give, some money you're going to save, some money you're going to spend. And then we talked about, okay, giving. What does it mean to give? We looked at the Bible. We talked about some of the giving things in the Bible. And then we also talked about saving. And okay, you're going to make a new ledger for your savings goal. Set a goal, write it down. And we want to give every Thai baht in this instance, a name. And if you don't give it a name, it just disappears. And so we've been teaching them. And then so on Monday this week, I looked at all their ledgers. We gave some corrections. It took about half an hour. But they're on it and they're really interested in this. And then they love to see like, okay, my ledger now makes sense. And oh, this is why it didn't add up. Okay. And now here's another 60 baht. And then throughout the week, we're doing these little competitions. And so last week, Zadok ran a slingshot competition where the students had levels, and they had a whole competition of hitting smaller and smaller and smaller targets until there was a champion. Bere was the champion, and he won 200 baht, 100 baht for the second place, and 50 baht for third place. But these little competitions throughout the week are fun. They're building up community spirit, blah, 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 blah. But they're also some extra income where the students now have to put it into their ledger. What am I going to do with this money? How am I going to give some? How am I going to spend some? How am I going to save some? And yeah, it's super cool to see them learning these lessons and then practicing with real money. And hey, okay, what do you want to give your money to? Oh, I want to give my money to a child in the IDP camp. Okay, go over, find a kid, pray. Is this the kid? Okay, give it to him. And actually see his smile on his face. And now they've gotten so excited about what they can do. And they've started to pool their giving money together so that they can bless somebody, because, 20 baht is not going to, it allows a kid to buy a Coca-Cola. But if you pool all your money together, they've realized then we can bless somebody and make a difference. And so now they've gotten excited about giving their money, and they've built a jar, like a little can, a cookie can, where they're putting their 20 baht giving each money each week. And some of the students are keeping it because when they go to church, they want to give an offering or a tithe. And but the other ones are putting their money together. And there's two pools we have going right now. One is for giving for soldiers and the food, to buy food for the soldiers. And the other one is unknown. We're going to look at it, how much money is in there at the end of the month, and then pick a cause that we want to support. But, you know, for me, okay, here I'm stumbling over my words, but this idea of discipleship is, and I say this with humility, but in a lot of ways it's fathering. And these students, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but a lot of these students have put me in a place of fathering over them. And a good father, he forgives them when they get drunk, but he teaches them something, and he wants the best for them, and he wants to give them skills so that they can stand on their own. And really, that's what discipleship is that you're learning these spiritual lessons, these spiritual skills, so that you can stand on your spiritual feet on your own. And, AA, computer class, English class, money class, these are not part of the discipleship curriculum. This week we're focusing on prayer, last week on grace and the cross, and money and AA is not part of this plan or this curriculum, but these are things that God has put on my heart to do that have just been so beautiful. And I really hope that, they will continue to be beautiful, because they're lessons that are important for a father to teach their son, for a parent to walk with their kids through, so that when they leave you, whether it's the end of JDS or a year or two from now, or when your kid grows up, that they know how to manage money. They know about their relationship with alcohol. They don't have to hide their drinking in the garage. They don't have to hide their drinking to weekends, and that they have a relationship with it that they can understand, that they can grapple with, and that they can wrestle with in a public place, in an open environment, without fear of shame. And so these are special things, and things that are not part of the plan, but have been real gifts for us in this new season of JDS. And with that being said, I want to just talk quickly about a couple opportunities that I need your help with, and I need your prayers about. And the first one is teaching positions. So next year, JDS 2, we're now in JDS Class 1, and JDS Class 2 is going to start September, and we're already looking ahead. And I need teachers. I need Bible teachers. I need Zadoks and Claires, and I need 3 or 4 couples to come and be a part of JDS staff. And so maybe it's you. Maybe it's not you, but you've got somebody in your mind that you think, oh, they would love this. They would eat this up. And so I'd really just ask you to pray for this, pray about this, pray for us that we would have just God-given, ordained teachers come to teach at JDS Class 2. And let me just say a few things. The main thing is teaching Bible curriculum. For example, this week, Zadok is prayer. So we give the topic. This is your topic for the week. These are kind of the key points we want to take away. They modify them slightly based on their understanding of where the students are at. But then they teach all week. And then next week, I'm up again, prayer part 2. After that, I'm teaching a class on becoming good soil. What does it mean for our hearts to become good soil and deep roots? And so we need teachers that are willing to come. Preference goes to married couple, and even couples with kids. We would love you to come here. And, I'm single, and for the time being, God has put that in my life, that's, the place where I am. But I believe God's design for people, for mankind, humankind is in marriage, in relationship. And so there are things that I can't speak on, or there's things that I can't father them through because I'm not married, because I don't know the realities of marriage. And so that's why, having a Zadok and Claire here, having a married couple come is my preference. But it's not, not the end of the world. You're not married. You really have a passion. You really feel that God is leading you into this. But preference to married couples, preference to couples to come with their whole family and to model walking with God, to model walking with Jesus every day in your marriage, with your kids, in all of these aspects, in culture shock, in this isn't what I expect it to be. You model, hey man, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to do this with God. And that's really my motto here, because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it with God. And so, yeah, if you know somebody who you think would be a Bible teacher for us next year, please send them this podcast, send them all of our info, get them in touch with me. And if it's you, please get in touch with me. But yeah, I just think there are some families out there that are comfortable living in North America that need to be shaken out of their comfort. And JDS is about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And yeah, I'll leave that at that. And the other second thing that's an exciting announcement, and I don't know everything in the world. I know basically 98% of everything in the world, but I don't know it all. But this is my pause for you to be laughing at me. But anyways, if you, I said earlier, hey, we may be the only discipleship in the world that is running an AA program for its students. This also may be the only program in the world like this, and this is exciting news. Drum roll. We are we are opening up our discipleship class, JDS 2, to foreigners. And now let me explain. We'll have a limited number. I said 5 slots for foreigners. And I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I think this is a program that there is no copy of in the whole world. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but in what I know, there is nothing like this in the world that would allow a foreigner to come in. And, I worked with the Free Burma Rangers 10 years, and they run. Okay, that was me dropping the microphone. Maybe I should end it there with my mic drop. But, okay, they run the Free Burma Ranger training school 3 or 4 months of the year. They train 200 Rangers a year. Every year, I would get some foreign person saying, hey, I want to go and do Ranger training. I want to be a Ranger. And it didn't make sense. Like, the primary language of teaching is Burmese. It's too fast. In 4 months, you're not going to be able to figure it out. And so it's just not feasible. It's not possible. It's nothing that's ever been done where there's been a white, forgive me for my racialness here, but a foreigner who goes through Ranger training. But there's been a desire, there's been a request. And so now with this JDS concept, with what we're doing here, it was really put on my heart that it shouldn't just be for the Burmese students. It was clear to me, okay, the first year it needs to be just for the Burmese students. But once you get your feet, once you figure things out, now you can slowly integrate some foreign students. And they're not student teachers. They're not student junior instructors. They're students. And they will live where the students live. They will sleep on bamboo, like the bamboo floor where the students sleep. They will get equipment like the students get. They will eat what the students eat. They will carry supplies and loads what the students get and what the students have to carry. And there's not an experience like that. I'm just picturing a kid from Emo, a kid from Kenora, a young guy in North America, 18, 20 years old. They would be totally, they've got to have a spirit of adventure, but they would be totally out of their element for a month or 2 months. Like, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Can I even do this? Is it even possible? But I just know the students would adopt them. Girls, I think that we would have female foreign girl students too that would live with our girl students in the dorm, and they would get so much out of it. And our students would get so much out of it, but our foreign students would get so much out of a relationship with this. They would never, ever, for their entire life, they could be 90 years old, they would remember and say, hey, that year that I spent in the jungle of Burma, where a language I couldn't speak, with people I couldn't communicate with, those were the toughest and the most beautiful moments and memories I have in my life. I really believe that. And I believe that there's something for our students to give to the foreign students, and for our foreign students to give to our ethnic students, and for us as JDS, for me as a JDS leader, to give to all of them. And they will deepen their faith. They will walk and they will get to know, they will walk in the curriculum. And the fact is that most of our curriculum is taught in English first and translated into Burmese. And so they will be able to understand and really get deep into their faith, get deep and walk into these topics and things that we're talking about. And so pray for teachers, but also if you know a young person that would be open to and has a spirit, a heart of adventure, and wants to take that next step in discipleship, maybe a year at JDS as a foreign student, the first ever. Hey, you're a history maker here. This year we're JDS 1. We have these hoodies. I'm wearing one right now. And on the hoodie sleeve, it says JDS 1. And these are not available on our store. These are only given to the students. These are only given to the staff. These are only given to those that are really here as part of JDS 1, making it happen. And we're history makers. We're following God. We're figuring this out. We're carving the jungle. We're going to have to do that again next year. But, those foreign students that come to be a part of JDS 2 are also going to be history makers. They're going to be a part of something amazing. And so if you know a young person, or if you are a young person, and you're open to a year, giving a year to God, then I would really encourage you to just pray about coming and get in touch with us. And we'd love to open the dialogue and what it means to become a JDS student here. And so exciting news, exciting announcements just out today. Thanks for being with us on the podcast, so you get to hear it all first. Thanks for being with us on the newsletter as well. There's some things I have no idea how it's going to work out. Having foreign students mixed in, I have no idea how it's going to work out. But we're figuring this out as we go. And there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things, whoosh, that's for sure. There's a lot of things I don't know. But I do know that I'm thankful for you, podcast listeners. I'm thankful that you're with us. I'm thankful that you listen to our podcast, you listen to me ramble, that you're with us and you're curious about what's going on here. What's it like to start a discipleship school in the jungle? What's it like to be in this war zone? And anyways, yeah, I don't know if how next year's going to go. I don't know how next week is going to go, but I know that I've got some sun shining on the side of the mountain on some solar panels. And I know that the students are down there getting ready for dinner and playing sports. And I know that Jesus is smiling on this camp. And yeah, it's just a blessing. It's just such a gift to be able to do this. And yeah, thanks for being with us. God bless you.